by any means, but this is the general baseline of where people should kind of start, because in itself it's a screen. So it's being a guide mark is to say, is Jen ready to do any of these motions today? Yes or no? And then we can give them a better standard. If you guys want to get higher up in these ranks, what you're going to end up learning down the line would be called the Selective Functional Movement Assessment, or where you might end up changing it to a different name, where in that type of assessment, it is an assessment, and you would go through the entire body, basically joint by joint, segment by segment, and see what's happening at a local area, to then be able to see how that intertwines to the global areas. So for all of you guys that are like, okay, so like, what about this and what about this? Let's just get really good at this first, because I promise you, the better you get at this, the much more easily acquired the knowledge from SFMA will be. And I was talking to Yanni about this, like, if it was up to me, it would probably be at least a few months of just having this into somebody before you even talked about the SFMA, because they're very similar. And again, this should not be used to assess anything. This is used to give us a really good idea of what's going on with a complete movement profile, so that we can give somebody a really efficient action plan. When we have an elite athlete or somebody who's been more banged up, they will then have to see somebody who can take them through an SFMA or a higher movement assessment, so that way we can make sure that nothing's going to happen as they start the training process. So right now we're getting really good at this, and this will very much tie into what you learn down the line. So as we go through this and we go down into the inline lunge and some of these patterns, I'm going to show you how in some of these patterns you can take a couple of extra steps to get an idea of, is this happening, is this dysfunction or this limitation happening because of an actual mobility, stability restriction? Or is it just that somebody forgot how to do the pattern? Because that's going to happen quite a lot. You're going to have somebody who, their leg only goes up this high, but you do it for them and they got all range of motion in the world. So we're going to talk about how that works. So, notice that there is right and left on single leg balance, inline lunge, shoulder mobility, ASLR, and rotary stability, which again means that if either of these have a lower score on one side, you aim low. And Melissa brought up a great point. As you guys are working with higher end athletics, if somebody is active in their sport, by no means are you trying to get them perfectly threes on both sides or perfectly twos on both sides. If somebody's trying to be a normal functioning human being, we can aim for that. But if you're active in a sport, and that is your livelihood, meaning you're a professional football, baseball, basketball, whatever player, the reason you're good at your sport is because you have asymmetries. So it's not going to be about getting somebody to be a unanimous 3 on both sides. If somebody shows me a 3 on one side and a 1 on the other side, maybe just get them a 3-2. And as I was explaining to Melissa, you have to be very diligent about talking to the staff of that person's people and say, look, we're messing with how he's moving over here. You need to tell me if there's any problems happening at his sports level. All right, you good on that? So let's move on. We're going to inline lunge. So I also didn't say this earlier. Gorilla style deep squat is really simple. Instead of using the board, you put them on the heels of their shoes. So you take their shoes off, you slide their shoes under their heels, and you use that as a heel lift. Or if you're in a gym, use a 5-pound plate. You can use that, and you don't even need a stick necessarily. You just have to go arms at 90 and arms up. So it's the same squat test. You're still measuring where their arms are. You just don't have as much equipment to your disposal. Does that make sense? Single leg balance, you don't even need the stick. You're just going to make them balance. So that's how you can do it without any equipment. When we go to inline lunge, it's going to get a little bit more tricky. So if you had no equipment, there's going to be a very special way to do it. Let's go with the easy way first. Ideally, you're going to have something like this, which has some nice lines so that you can measure. Melissa, would you come up with me, please? So what we're going to do, in order to figure out where the person should stand for their inline lunge screen, I'm going to I'm going to measure where their ischial tuberosity is. It's this bone that's right below their kneecap. So if you find the knee or you find the patella and you go about 1 or 2 inches down, you're going to hit this little bony landmark. That's what you're looking for. Once I have that, I'm going to put the stick up right next to it. Everyone see how I just lined that up? If you can't see it over there, can you face that way so you see the screen? Thank you. So I put it right next to your heel, and then I'm going to find that bony landmark on her tibia, and then that's the line I'm looking at. We have a 15. So I just measured that her tibia, that bone right there, is 15 off the floor, which means when I screen her, I'm going to say, Melissa, put your right toe on the 0 line, and your left heel at the 15 line. Okay? Right toe or left toe, we're gonna do both. And use that for help. And then put your heel at the 15 line. When Melissa's left foot is forward, I always think of this from the football, when I work with quarterbacks. So if my left leg is forward, I'm usually gonna throw with my opposite arm. So if her left leg is forward, she's gonna put her right arm behind her head. Is that an easy way to remember it? My left leg is forward, I'm gonna throw, so that hand's gonna go behind the head. That hand's gonna go behind the back. I'm gonna instruct Melissa to keep the stick against her head, her shoulder blades, and her sacrum. She's gonna drop her back knee to the board, and that's okay to lift her back heel off the floor, or off the board. So go ahead and drop your back knee to the board, lunge, okay, and back up. Now did everyone notice that because I measured it, her knee dropped right behind the heel? Go again for me, Melissa. This would be a 3, by the way, because she knows the screen. Switch sides. Now, if I did not have this stuff, you have to be a little different. So I'll explain that right after she shows us this side. Now, Melissa, which hand is going to be on top? Yes, thank you. Left hand. Okay, I'm going to give her 3 opportunities. I usually look from the side. Go ahead. From the back. Now, what are the criteria? Number 1, her heel needs to go from here, then her knee hits the board, and then it re-drops to the board. If it does not re-drop, that is technically a 2. If she goes all the way down like she did, so the knee touches the board, this stays against her back. She stands back up, there's no wobble, and her heel hits the ground. That is a 3. So Melissa just showed us a 3 on both sides. Thank you, you're good.
When you instruct her to do this, can you go over really quickly how you would instruct somebody to
Brian, please.
So you put it down, touch the back of their head, their back, and their sacrum.
So once again, I first need to measure, right? So I have Brian stand with feet together.
What's this called again?
This is your ischial tuberosity. Typically, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Not me, that was weird, but thank you. Yeah. Any tuberosity is a bony house. Thank you. Boom. You got it. Ischium is a cane. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you. So, see, this is why we learn together. 17 is Brian's number. His toe is at 0. His heel is at 17. You can use this for help if he needs it. Just a little higher, 17. There you go. His right leg's forward, so he's going to put his left hand behind his neck. He's going to put his right hand behind his back. Good. The stick is going to touch his head, his shoulder blades, and his sacrum or his tailbone. I'm going to instruct Brian.
His hands, his arms, okay.
So, you're going to have people with shoulder mobility problems. Let me just throw that out there. I do not care right now if they're perfectly back here. We just need these 3 points. We're not looking at how good his shoulders move yet. We're looking at how his spine is stacked as he does the lunge.
But isn't his left arm supposed to be up?
You're right. You didn't do that. Your left arm is supposed to. Why are you moving the stick right there? There you go. Just put your left hand right there. There you go. And you can have them in a perfect world. If the shoulders are good, this hand is going behind the neck like this. This hand is going behind the back like this. If somebody's tight, I don't care how they hold it. Just give me 1, 2, and 3. All right? So again, I would instruct Brian to drop his back knee down to the board. Come back up. Okay? Go again. Now, he heard me say, like, what I want to be a 3. So that's a 3. Even though there's a little wobble, I'm going to give that okay to him. If he, like, fell over, I might call it a 2. Switch sides for me, Brian.
He's looking in the mirror.
Oh, that could be a 2. Yeah, you're typically not going to have somebody look at themselves in the mirror. You're going to have them looking elsewhere. Perfect. And then go ahead and drop it. Okay, now technically because of Brian's position, he doesn't have the sacrum, right? So I want him to readjust that so that this is more here. There you go. And then go again. Because if the stick leaves any of those 3 points, it's not a 3. It's a 2 or a 1. So you can step on any pain with either of those. No 0. So if I give somebody a lunge and you see like this part leave, okay, that's a 2. But if you see this happen, that would be a 1. That's a huge spinal deviation. So once again, you measure, you set them up. If my left foot is in front, my right hand's going to be back. If somebody has the shoulder mobility, if somebody has the prerequisite for shoulders, they should be able to get their hand behind their neck like that, and their hand either here or on top like that. If somebody is more congested, they're probably going to have to be up here. But you just need those 3 points. Again, if the heel goes from here to a knee drop, to a heel down, that is a 3. If somebody drops their knee and doesn't drop the heel, it's just a 2. All right? These are fine little points. Is a 2 still good? Like, can we load a 2? Sure. But it's the difference between a 2 and a 3. If somebody has multiple breaks at the back, that's a 1. If somebody's knee doesn't even touch the board, you don't even get down far enough, that's a 1. If somebody has pain, it doesn't matter what the criteria are, it's a 0. So it's always a good idea that if you put down a 0, you also would put down 1 or 2 or 3 without pain. Does that make sense?
What's the gorilla way to measure to the
Velocity. So, let's say that we have a stick. Okay, let's just do that first. So let's say we have a stick, but there isn't any cool lines. I'm going to put this here, I'm going to find it, and I'm going to eyeball where that is on the stick. So I'm going to hold that line, I'm going to do this, I'm going to say put your toe here and your heel here. And then what I like to do is I use something like these floors to say this is your balance beam. Okay? My left foot is forward, so my right hand's behind my back. If I don't even have a stick, I'm just going to hold my hands here, and then you have to watch what their spine is doing as they drop down, come up. Okay?
So all you're saying to them is drop your knee to the back of your heel and stand right back up. Is that the cueing?
My specific, I mean that would work. My specific verbiage would be drop your back knee to the board, and then stand back up. And some
That's it.
people, yeah, and now look, if somebody says, can I lift my back heel? Yes, you can. But you'll want to, again, reiterate, drop your knee to the board, and then stand back up to your starting position. That's actually a very fine
Stand back up to the
Stand up back to your starting position. So if somebody stands up and they do this, and then you say, okay, good, now drop your back knee to the board again, and stand back up to your starting position. And then they go, it's just a 2, right? Guys, it's okay if somebody's like a 2 or a 3. We're not too worried about it. What we're really checking for is if somebody's a 1 or a 0. If somebody's a 2 or a 3, we pretty much know that we're just going to take them into a standard coaching environment and take them into good exercise. Somebody who's a 2 at lunges, I feel very confident that I can make them do split squats that day, right? I can make them hold a TRX and practice reverse lunges that day, or lateral lunges that day. If somebody's a 1, I'm going to have to go onto the ground and go back to some simpler stuff. So for lunges, now that we, hopefully everyone understands the difference between a 0, 1, 2, and a 3. Any questions there? Okay. We would not have anybody loaded lunge, meaning standing, split squats, or lunges, would not happen if somebody's a 1 or a 0. If somebody's a 2 or a 3, we can go that route. If somebody's a 1 or a 0, we would not have somebody do, again, think about single leg mounts, really big split stepping with their hips, so like high stairs. Or if somebody wanted to like go sprinting or something like that. Anything that has a lot of hip separation is not going to be desired if somebody's a 1 or a 0. Fair enough? Yeah.
Just a quick question, given like the sort of convoluted setup of the whole bar and shoulder positioning, is it acceptable to do like a very quick, just like show them basic?
That's the next
bar?
one. So the question arises, if like, because everybody has different shoulders. So if somebody has to hold it like this, somebody can hold it like this, okay? He's asking, can I show them what to do with their shoulders? My answer is no, because you're going to see shoulders in the next string. Again, think about it as this is feedback to the person as where their spine is in space and time. And all we're testing is, can one hip flex and one ankle flex while one hip extends and the other one is bending at the same time. This is a lunge pattern, hip flexion, hip extension. This happens in a lateral lunge, a reverse lunge, and a lot of things. So all we're checking is, can somebody keep spinal integrity, keep their pelvis level? Does the lunge look good? We'll worry about the shoulders in the next string.
You want the feet completely aligned, or they can be off, maybe?
As long as they're on the board, we're good. You want to cue the feet to be straight when they start, and then they might change as they move, and that's giving you information. If somebody's on the floor, you need to put them on a very narrow base and make sure that they're not here like this, but they're on a single line. Okay? Yeah.
What was the criteria again to go from 2 to a 1?
2 to 1. So, do this way. So, we're lined up. Something like this, right here is a 2, so the heel didn't drop. Or something like this, where you see just the kind of the butt bone left, would be a 2. As soon as you see 2 spots break on the spine, so think the head and the low back, or maybe the head and the upper back. If you see 2 spots break on the spine, and or the knee does not touch the floor, that would be a 1.
Okay. Things going wrong instead of one thing wrong.
Well, it can be one of them. So meaning if the knee doesn't touch the floor, that's a one. If you have 2 spots missing on the spine, that's a one. If you have both, that's a one. Okay?
The ability to keep points on the back of your head, from the rest of the spine, and sacrum is going to be dramatically impacted by where you put their hands on
Correct.
the dowel.
Correct.
But we're making it a lot easier than the regular FMS in order to have the appearance of a straight spine. Right?
Yeah.
Because in the original FMS, you need to be able to internally rotate,
Yep.
extend the thoracic spine in order to get into position.
Correct.
So that pre-qualifies you from being able to get the dowel in position.
Yes.
We're going to give them more
We're giving them wiggle room, is the way to think about it. So, you brought up a great point. When you take an FMS certification course, they will tell you what I just told you not to do, which is they have to have their hand here, and they have to have their hand here. Because what he was referring to was, do they even have the right shoulder mechanics to get back there? What I'm saying is, we don't care yet what the shoulder does to impact the lunge. I just want to test the lunge. Because, and here's the reason. In the FMS world, if somebody can't do that, you're not going to make them do any kind of lunge, right? Because they didn't have the prerequisites to get in there. In my world of thinking about it, if they can keep their spine flat and they can do that lunge, why can't they just hold, and it's a 2, why can't they hold like one weight down here, and do lunges that day? They technically could. Their body has the means to do it, but when their shoulders are in a certain position, they don't have the means to do it. And what I'm saying is for most of our clients, they're already feeling limited, like they can only walk for right now. I want our clients to feel like they have a lot of options of things to do, unless this is giving us a very hard no. So if a client comes in and they have to get their arms here in order to make a lunge happen, we can all know that maybe their shoulders are there's something going on here, but the shoulders aren't impacting what's happening at the lunge. If you have a client who like has a really weird shoulder position and they can't lunge, you're thinking even more likely that the shoulders are impacting the lunge. But we just want to see, can that person lunge? Because if that person can lunge, you've now given them more opportunity of things to do when they're not seeing you. If the person can't lunge because of a shoulder restriction, now they can't squat, they can't single leg balance, they can't lunge. The only thing that they're allowed to do is shoulder mobility work. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So for the purposes of this one pattern, we are allowing the shoulders to not be as influenced into the pattern.
So in that same vein, like if you were to ask somebody after they do the lunge, say, how'd that feel? Did you feel any pain? They're like, yeah, my shoulders are still tight. They really hurt. You would say, that does not disqualify you from a lunge because we've got a separate screen for your shoulders.
So in that situation right there, you just did a lunge and they're telling you they have shoulder pain. You're going to write down as a 0 and you're going to say it would be a 1, 2, or 3 if there was no pain present.
Right.
And then if they have a 1 or a 0 on their shoulder mobility screen, you can safely assume that they're ready to lunge. You might come across somebody who is the painful shoulder in a lunge, and then their shoulders move fine. That will happen. And so in that situation, they can do shoulder work, but they can't do lunge work. For some reason, whatever was going on here, whether their hands were way up here or way down there, that was inhibiting their lunge to happen. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's not always about what you just find here. You have to take the whole picture into perspective. Some of the screens, as you guys are starting to realize, are slightly different. Some of them are harder, some of them are easier. And all of that is because this whole process is diving into the pattern that we're specific on. You can make patterns more challenging to do, you can make patterns less challenging to do, but we just need to see on day 1 or day 2 or day 3, can this person even get into the pattern without pain, without all those other things that we were talking about earlier. Does that clarify? Okay. That's a really good point.
But if they have pain in their shoulders, that screen is a lunge, is still a 0.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, it's still exactly. So to emphasize that, if you do a deep squat and they have jaw pain, it's a 0. If they do a shoulder mobility screen and their toe hurts, it's a 0. It doesn't matter where the pain is. That's the whole interregional dependency thing. Because when you're done with the screen and you have all your information, you're going to see, okay, this person has pain in their shoulder when they lunge. This person has pain in their hip when they do an ASLR. So I'm getting a painful hip and shoulder regardless of whether it flexes or not. And now you're starting to piece together what motions are tricking things. And you have a better idea of what to limit in the near future and what to incorporate in the near future.
Have you found it more of a challenge working with the higher level athletes because they're used to dealing with pain? You know what pain was a good pain and what's a bad pain?
Yeah. So with a higher level athlete or somebody who's been athletic and they know how to like grit through it, that conversation at the beginning is very important. So a lot of the times you'll have a conversation with somebody and say, something in here might be painful. You need to let me know when and if it's painful. And they'll say, well, like, you know, what about tight or what about this? And I always default to talk to me. Like if it's tight or if it's painful, tell me what you feel. In a movement screen situation, whether it's tight or painful in the wrong area, I always score low and give that a 0. Because there's probably gonna be other things that I can work on that aren't gonna bother that particular situation. So with a high-end athlete, you're then gonna have to say, all right, you're gonna tell me whether it's tight or painful, and even if it's only a 2 out of 10 in their body, or a 5 out of 10 in their body, this isn't about establishing how painful something is, it's about establishing a baseline, so that 2 weeks from now, or 4 weeks from now, when we re-screen them, we can say, hey, how's that knee feeling now? Well, there's no pain there? Well, that was a 4 out of 10 last time we screened you. Or it wasn't, now it's a 2 out of 10 and it was a 4 out of 10. So this is all going in the right direction. See how this is kind of a guideline? This is your compass to figure out that everything's going in the right direction. Does that answer your question? Cool. So, any last minute questions on the lunge? What to avoid, how to screen? I know the shoulder thing can be a little bit weird, but again, this just needs to be on the 3 points. Ideally, the hands are here, but if somebody can't get there, you can separate them a little bit just to see how the lunge is working. In case you guys didn't know, they're right now figuring out how to do an FMS for highly overweight people. Highly overweight people can't get their hands behind their back. You need to see if they can lunge or not. Highly overweight people can't get their legs up in the air because there's a lot of mass in their midsection, but you still got to test for it. So already they're modifying this stuff to fit different demographics. So we need to do the same thing.
Is it going to affect your range of motion whether you're actually gripping it or whether you have a flap?
Yes, it will. So once again, you're going to verbally tell the client, I would like it if you could get here and here. They'll see what they naturally do. If they naturally grip it, you don't need to say anything. If they naturally put their hand over or under, you don't need to say anything unless they're saying, oh, that I don't like how that feels in my shoulder. In which case, you then can move their hands and help them find a comfortable position. Cool? So inline lunge, right or left side. From there, we go to shoulder mobility. Now, before we get into this, I want everyone to understand, these are complex patterns, these 3. Meaning there's multiple things happening at once. So when we get these 3 done, we get at a very global scale what's happening with a couple of things. But it's not till we get to the core 4 right here that we understand what's happening beneath the surface. What I mean is, if somebody's a 3 in their deep squat, and somebody's a 1 or a 1 down here or 1 down here, guess what you got? A wonderful compensator. You do not have a good squat. Does it mean that their squat isn't a 3? No. They're getting the criteria somehow, some way, but you know that it's not being loaded and controlled in the right places. So these 4 screens are kind of the money makers. If you have everything as a 1, you're going to start with these 2, and then these 2, and then work up here as needed.
Can you just say them because I can't see what you're pointing
If everything is a 1, you're going to work with these 2 first.
So
and then
SM and
shoulder mobility and SLR. You also neurodevelopmental sequence. You were born, first you learn how to move your head, then the next 2 things were your arms and your shoulders. That's why we start there, because neurodevelopmentally, that's what made the most sense to our bodies. Once we were done moving our arms and our legs, we started to push our bodies up and create stiffness in our trunk, and we started to roll over and learn how to own rotation for when we walk and when we crawl. So we're just going to mimic the same neurodevelopmental sequence. So
then it's TSPU and then RS.
after these 2.
After those 2.
Yeah, and in the next few sessions, we're going to have case studies where it's like, these are 2s, these are 1s, which ones are first, because there's never going to be an exact formula. There's always going to be guidelines, okay? It's never going to be the same for 2 people. 2 people might have the same exact exercise for the same exact movement problem, but be for completely different reasons. Meaning some person might get an ASLR pattern because they have a pinchy hip. Some person might get an ASLR pattern because they don't get their hip far enough in the flexion. It's different. So, shoulder mobility. Here's what we do. We put feet together. Why do we put feet together?
Standardizes the test.
Standardizes the test. It also creates a narrower base of support so that it's more challenging for the client to move their arms. You're going to ask them, which hand are you dominant in, right or left hand? I'm a right-handy. So if you have lines on the stick, you're going to measure whatever line on their wrist is the closest to their palm. So some people have lots of lines on their wrist, the one closest to their palm. And then from that line to the top of their middle finger, that's what you're measuring. So if I did that for me, my last line to my finger is about an 8. So what that means is I'm going to keep my thumb on this 8, and I'm going to see how close their hands get together when I do the pattern. Before I even show you, let's say that I'm an 8. If I get an 8 or better, you're a 3. You're perfect. Don't even worry about it unless there's pain. If I get an 8 or better on both arms, that's a 3. If I get within 1.5, so if I'm an 8, half of 8 is 4, I need to get within 12. If I get between here and here on both sides, that is a 2. Here and here on both sides is a 2. So 1.5, whatever their measurement is on their hand, that is a 2. If somebody is beyond the 1.5 mark, it's a 1. And if it's painful, it's a 0, regardless of where they hit on the line. Okay? Does anybody have, I would like somebody with great shoulders and somebody with not great shoulders. Not great shoulders, come on up. And then who has great shoulders? Great shoulders, come on up. Well, we'll see.
Worse.
Worse?
Worse.
Oh, works. Well, come on, let's try it. So I have both gentlemen stand with their feet together. Are you right-handed?
Yeah.
Cool, so let me see your right hand. So I have the last line on the wrist to the 7.5. And then Brian, are you right-handed? So you are going to be also 7.5. How easy? Feet together for both of each other. Thumbs inside of the fist. It's very important to keep the thumbs inside of the fist. And then one arm, this is important. I'm not going to show them what to do. I'm going to say one arm is going to go over the top of your body this way. One arm is going to go behind your body this way. And you're going to see how close they get behind your back. Don't even need to look at that. That's green. Ta-da! So he was a 7.5, which means half of 7, like 3.5. So he should be around 10 something. His number is like a 12.5. So he would be a 1 on his right side. Okay, switch arms please. And I didn't say this, but I'll say it before. I'll say it now. Also a 12. So they're equally not good. Okay? Stay up here. So,
Are you measuring knuckle? Knuckle down?
yeah, so knuckle to knuckle. Right? Tip of the knuckle to the tip of the knuckle, wherever that is. So, any pain? Yes. Thank you. Where?
Left shoulder.
Left shoulder. Scale is 0 to 10, 0 being nothing, 10 being a lot. 3. On both motions or just one of them? Together too.
When I reach the left
down. Okay. So right there we had a communication. I now know that it's when his left arm is going behind his back, so the internal rotation of his left shoulder, that's the only painful one. He doesn't have pain when he brings his right arm up, or his left arm up. So we know that, which means that he's a 1 on both sides. See how close the arms get behind their back? Is it a 3, 2, 1, or 0? Once you've measured the 3, 2, 1, or 0, you're still always going to check for impingement. Once impingement has been put positive or negative, you don't need to necessarily do anything else but move on. When the entire screen is done, you can then take a second and say, all right, do I want to break out shoulders further, or do I want to start with the normal FMS hierarchy and come back to it? By the way, just because I know everyone's smart, if somebody had a positive in shoulder impingement and was a 1 or a 0 in their shoulders, what's something you can make them do that day to help with that?
That's the shoulders.
How?
Dance.
Okay, so question. He has pain in internal rotation of his shoulder. Am I going to make somebody do a band dislocation and watch that happen?
No.
No. So you have to be specific. But can you give somebody something? Yes. For instance, I could make somebody lie on a foam roller up and down their spine and just do some chest pec open ups. I could give someone a TRX and I could make them do a pec chest stretch. You can give somebody self-fascial release in the trap, lats, anything like that. T-spine corrections. There's lots of things we can give somebody because we've been doing this. But the point is, for the purposes of this system, we're just not going to tell that client, yeah, go ahead and go plank today. Go ahead and go do push-ups later. We tell them, look, right now you have a little bit of like tightness and impingement on the shoulder, no big deal. We're going to progress you through the other patterns first. And as we're doing that, open up the shoulder so that way when we rescreen you, we'll know if it's time to go into overhead worker. Okay? Contraindications of the shoulder. If somebody is a 1 or a 0, absolutely no overhead pressing. They don't even need to be overhead yet. And then sometimes if somebody's internally rotated in pain, you're not going to make them put their arms behind their back. It's going to depend on what you're finding. But things that you totally can do are going to be some posterior shoulder, posterior chain work, opening up the anterior chain of the pecs and the neck. You can do anything in that basic understanding of upper cross center. Get rid of the tightness up here, release tightness up here, engage in the backside. So standard operating procedure there. We're just going to use this system to make sure that we're not dumping somebody into something too quickly. Cool? Any questions on the shoulder mobility screen? Awesome. So right and left side, we then move on into the asymmetrical single leg raise. So this one is one of my personal favorites because so many people tend to get really good at a lot of these things, and then all of a sudden they find out this huge red flag. So let's go, Ethan. Would I have you come up, please, sir? So once the client has just performed the shoulder mobility strain, I'm going to say, Ethan, I would love it if you lie on your back. Your head's going to be over here. Your legs are going to be straight, and this board is going to be underneath your kneecaps. If you don't have a board or anything, it's okay if their legs are flat on the ground. You're just going to have to cue them to keep their legs on the ground. Feet together, please. Toes pulled back and palms up. Okay. Just like for the single leg balance, you have to get a couple of landmarkers here. All right, so we're going to look at the kneecap and the patella and the ASIS. So this little point right here on the front of the hip. This is a bone and this is a bone. So the midpoint of those two bones, I'm going to call this our touchdown line. All right, so feet are together. I will tell Ethan to keep both legs straight. Never bend your knees. Keep your right knee on the board. With your left leg straight, bring it as high as you can to a complete stop, please. If the toe passes, touchdown, that's a 2. Back down and up, give me 2 more, please. Okay, if he did a couple more and the heel got passed, that's a 3. But if the toe gets passed, that's a 2. Give me 1 more, please. If he got to there, what would you might give that? You give it a 1. You're going to aim low. You're going to score 1. Okay? Now, this is also a point where I would give some communication. Ethan, when you do that, do you feel any tightness on the front of the quad or the hip?
Yeah.
Yeah? He says, yeah, we don't want that. Guys, this is a hinge. This is asking the hips to go into flexion and extension, like if you pick something up off the ground. Not everyone understands this, but in the motion mechanics side of the floor, we tell people all the time how when you stand up, no longer are your quads and your hamstrings synergistic or antagonistic. Now it's your quads and your glutes. So when you stand and you do a hip hinge, if your quads are over dominant and they're too tight and they're not allowing you to get into full hip flexion and full hip extension, this will turn into this, which will turn into this, which will turn into a lot of problems. So I always take the time to say, do you feel this on the quad or the front of the hip versus just a stretch on the back of the leg? Is he still a 2? Yes. But I'm going to put down a little asterisk and say, we need to work on opening up the anterior part of his thigh in this hip. That would mean some like quad hip flexor stretching, some quad hip flexor rolling, and then I might take him into this pattern in a certain way and ensure that his quad and his hip flexor aren't overworking, and it's more coming from the hip and the core, or the hip and the midsection. Does that make sense? So show me the same thing on the right leg, please. Okay. You can also notice how one leg might go farther than the other. Okay. So I'm seeing that this one's just a little bit farther. Do you also feel anything on the front of the thigh on the side?
A little bit less so.
A little bit less, all right? So they're going to have that realization. It's like, oh, this one moves better, and I feel it less there. So it probably would make sense to kind of work on the front of the left one. Yes?
Do you ask them if they feel like in the front of the thigh, you breathe?
Yeah, anytime. Because think about it. If you're going to make them do a standing deadlift and they're a 3, they're going to have the hip mobility that they need, but they're going to be recruiting it from the wrong areas as they're getting stronger, right? So it's important that we take just a second to make sure that, yes, it's functional, it's moving, but is it really being driven from the right areas? And that's going to be something just as we train people, right? Like, as you train something for weeks and weeks and weeks and you get consistent with somebody, after the exercise, that was good. Where'd you feel that? Oh, I felt that back here. Hell yeah, you did. Good freaking job. Versus, oh, I felt that up in here and I felt that up in here. That's not what we want. Let's rework that, right? So, Ethan has good ASLR pattern. Both are clear. He felt a little something here, so I might write a note. Let's say that he wasn't even close, right? Let's say that his leg only got that high. Okay. This is where you go into a little bit of the more advanced stuff. If you were with the training last time, this is going to be a quick recap. But the idea is, he tells me he only gets up that high, and I say, where do you feel that? He goes, man, it's like right up in here, but it's not like a painful thing. So I'm going to grab his leg, I'm going to hold this hip here just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. I'm going to tell him to relax his leg, and I'm going to take him through the range of motion myself. And as I take him through that range of motion, I'm going to ask him, hey, do you feel that tightening up on the quad or the, no? Do you feel a stretch in the back of the hamstring? Yeah, good. So if somebody, this just happened to me literally 2 hours ago, person gives me a leg raise, it's a click on the way down. She gets up there, no problem. On the way down, click, doesn't feel good, but it's not painful. So I take her leg through the range of motion. No problem. Not a click, not a nothing. Does that person need to go get an adjustment that day? Not really. Could they benefit? Maybe. But look, their hip has the mobility requisites that it needs. I just showed you. If it couldn't get there without a click, then I'm thinking there's something happening at the joint at a tissue joint mechanical level. But if you can take some of these limbs and you can make their limbs do a range of motion that you're asking for, and the only difference between them being able to do it or not is your assistance. You don't have a huge joint or tissue or muscular tightness. You have a motor control problem. That's all it is. Something about the way their brain is activating the sequence for doing that. When I get back to her, it should be better, if not gone. And if it's not better or gone, guess what? The screen did its job. It showed me what worked and what didn't work. So I could see her the second session and then say, okay, we're still getting the click here. That's still the only big dysfunction in her entire movement profile. So let me think of some other exercises or self-fascial releases or some stretches or something that's going to allow her to control the hip herself. And if for some reason you are just floored and out of questions, guess what? You have the entire motion mechanics side to help you out. So you can send them back to the table. They'll do an even deeper, full evaluation of them, and they will be able to make that hip click go away. Cool. So you're going to use the entire system to your benefit. So again, somebody needs to get the midpoint between the ASIS and the knee. Their toe needs to hit that line and pass it to be a 2. Their heel needs to hit that line and pass it to be a 3. If it's short of a 2, or it's a 1 or a 0, whatever, you are then going to take their leg into that motion for them. And if they hit the criteria, you now know that it's more of a stretch muscular motor control thing. It's not a mobility stability thing, it's a motor control thing. Does that make sense? Can you please substitute you, thank you very much, with
Ryan, just
Yeah.
time check.
Oh,
twice.
right.
So, you want to just finish off?
We're going to finish shoulder mobility. We'll just finish shoulder mobility.
Yeah.
So, for time purposes, we're going to stop at shoulder mobility today. Next time, we're going to jump back into shoulder mobility and work down to rotary stability. And because that's going to go faster, because now everybody's more used to this, we'll be able to actually go into some like case studies, scenario-specific ideas. So like, if somebody's 2's up here and a 1 down here, or there's a couple 1's and a couple 2's down here, there's pain here, there isn't pain here, we're going to figure that out. All right? So, really quickly, we just all got together on what's a 0, 1, 2, or 3 with an ASLR pattern. If somebody is a 1 or a 0, contraindications, what you will not let that person, or what you will highly recommend that person does not do until it's clear, would involve deadlifting or heavy hip flexion and extension, sprinting, heavy hip flexion and extension. Anything that's going to take somebody's body from either this position, just like a single leg balance or like a lunge, or their body into this position. Same exact thing. It's just different angles and different loads, right? So, person gets screened, it's a 0 or a 1, you're gonna write down 0, and if it is a 0, whether it was a 1, 2, or 3, if the pain was not present. And then if it is a 1, you're also gonna wanna sit there and figure out, is this something that I need to work on at a tissue level, meaning do I need to stretch, foam roll, open up stuff in the space? Or is this something that I can just start motor control programming? Something where I can just give them an exercise that day and let them go. A lot of our clients are gonna get kind of a combination. You're gonna say, all right, Betsy, because you felt a little bit of a tightness in your quad in that pattern, I'm gonna have you foam roll your quad and or stretch your quad for about 30 to 60 seconds. And then immediately following that stretch, you're gonna do one of these exercises that causes the same pattern to happen. And that exercise should ideally mimic the things that you want to happen. Make sense? Kinda? Anyone too super confused? Any idea or any questions about contraindications for SM, ASLR, inline lunge, inline balancing fun?
So for him, for instance, so he experienced a tightness,
Yep.
we would grade him at.
He's a 2.
He's a 2.
He's a 2.
Because his level of flexibility,
Yep.
but he still received a little bit of tightness.
So you would say 2 with tightness in the quad, right? And then that way, if I saw him write that note, and I got him for his second session, I'm gonna say, and let's just make it easy, he only has ASLR as the problem, everything else is 2 or 3. The first thing I do after the neurodevelopmental stuff, which we'll get into later, as soon as I start his session with the movement side of things, I'm gonna make him do an ASLR screen first, I'm gonna see is it clear or not. I'm gonna ask him, do you still feel any tension or pain or tightness in the quad? He says yes. Now we start scanning hinge progressions. We start with like some dowel hinge progressions. If he still feels tightness there, we're gonna spend a lot of the session opening this up and repatterning the ASLR pattern. Just all day, throwing that into a session. Go do some rows, quad roll, quad stretch, ASLR pattern. Go do some lateral lunges, quad roll, ASLR pattern. And you're gonna keep throwing that into the training session that day. Cool? Yes?
How often does somebody go through their table sessions and show you a really bad, like bad tissue length
Yep.
in the hamstring?
That's a great question. It's gonna happen, in my experience, say 20 to 40% of the time. 20 to 40%. Because look, guys, we get people that come in who have seen so many freaking therapists. Like, you're gonna see clients that are beyond banged up. You're gonna see people that have fell off cliffs and shattered hundreds of bones in their body. So, it's gonna be pretty hard to take somebody in that situation and get everything moving nicely in only 6 table sessions. But then another big percentage of the time, you're gonna have somebody come in and have 0 pain on the screen, just a bunch of limitations, which is the ideal client for us. That's the client that we all know, if we have the right compass, we can take them exactly where they want to go with just the right structure and travel itinerary, right? So I'd say about 20 to 40% of the time, you're gonna have that person where it's a 1 or a 0, or maybe even a 0 on their ASLR. You take them up into it for them, and it's still not gonna get close to where you want. But then you can take a look and say, look, is everything a 1? Are there any 0s? Because I've had plenty of clients who are all 1s, and I never had to send them back to the table. I could get them everything they need because we got them out of pain. Remember, pain is your biggest enemy when it comes to motor control. So if you have a client in pain with the movement strain, you're already dealing with way more problems than you want. But the moment you have a client with no pain in the movement strain, you can really make some great changes for them if you know how to properly progress them. Cool? So let's have some fun with doing our strains. I hope that the people that already know this, you're already screening people. Again, it's going to be in your best interest to have no less than 5 screens done by next Tuesday. Even though Yadi is going to be the one who's taking over the neurological stuff, it's going to be in your best interest to know something to screen before and after a drill. Meaning somebody does a neurological drill and they can't touch their toes before the drill, but they touch it after. You're using the movement screen that we've learned to verify that the drills you're going to give them are